probably looking at this thinking, this is your average, ordinary, middle income, middle America, middle 20th century kind of family. And you're right, sort of. I mean, average, okay, but ordinary? It's kind of hard for me to think of it that way. Maybe because it's my family.
Looks like he's having to throw them quite a way.
This is my grandmother.
You probably don't have any horseshoes. Yeah, just big washers. We used to play something with washers out on our patio. Whoever could get closest to whichever crack.
That dapper man throwing washers right there is my grandpa, Leland Rogers. He had been stationed in Guam in the Navy in 1950 around the time of the Korean War and had developed a donut recipe so popular that he came back to Tulsa to open his own donut shop. It's him right there in 1959 playing with his two daughters, LaDonna on the left and the oldest. Hi Mom. Yep, that's my mom, Diane. He was a good father, good grandfather, good husband, good man. And even though he died quite young, while I was still in grade school, he left a huge impression on me. I got a great chance to sit around with my grandmother this last spring and have her describe some of this 8mm footage. I asked her how they first met.
We met at church, but we knew each other through high school too. Because he sat right behind me in typing class. He was working on some correspondence courses. He only went to school till 2 o'clock, and then he went to work at a service station from 2 o'clock on. And so he took some courses by correspondence, and he sat right behind me, would do some of that work. And I would mess up the typewriter, where you pull out something, and whenever you hit the return, he wouldn't turn the paper, so he'd be typing over it. He was, so I was aggravating him a lot of the time there. But he never got mad.
I think one of the funny things about growing up is realizing that when you were little, the people you thought were really old weren't really that old. Like, take my parents, for example. It's really hard for me to imagine them as grandparents, but they are now, due to the arrival of the newest generation of our family, Ian Jacob Hodge, my sister's son, my nephew. I met him for the first time this past September when he was just a few weeks old. I didn't get to see him again until May when he was a few months old, and by that time he had tripled in size. He was this rock-hard man of a baby, not an ounce of baby fat on him, and Megan called him the Bullet. And after spending some time with him, his personality really started to emerge. The Bullet loves to bounce, the Bullet absolutely hates carrots, and the Bullet is a screaming machine. Kid's got pipes. And as I looked out over my family, I started thinking about how it's constantly changing and sometimes expanding. In particular, the addition of a new member, Miss Megan O'Neill. Or I guess I should say now, Mrs. Megan Story. See, it all started back in Michigan. Megan had to say goodbye to her beautiful lakeside home in Spring Lake, pack up her Dodge Neon, give her mom a big hug goodbye, and head out with me cross-country to California. She would drive during the day and then sleep and allow me to do what I do best, a little bit of night driving. So we've been on a lot of road trips. We've seen a lot of amazing things, like this, the largest cross in the Western Hemisphere. Or this, the Cherokee Trading Post on Route 66, complete with its own gigantic wooden Indian. A little demonstration, Megan, please. Thank you. Yep, we've experienced some pretty amazing things. Some things I thought I might not in my lifetime even ever get a chance to see. But I don't think anything could have prepared us for the profound experience we would be having in just a few short weeks. All we knew is we had to get back to LA fast and hit the ground running. After winning the giveaway, it was clear we had to make a lot of decisions and make them fast. So it went a little something like this. We headed to Ventura to the invitation spot to pick out wedding invitations.
How cool are these?
So cool. So cool, in fact, we had some shipped in from India and hand calligraphied in Kentucky. And then, of course, there were the dozens of emails with Megan Battistella for the rehearsal dinner invitations. And then over to Judy's Great Cakes for cupcakes and fillings and lots of design choices so that we could come up with something that looked a little like this. But in the end, at the wedding, all three would look something a lot like this. And of course, these were just a few of the decisions we had to make. We had a lot more decisions to make, like the rehearsal dinner at the Camarillo Ranch, and of course there was Megan's dress, and my tux, and the groomsmen's tuxes, and the custom tags that went inside the dress and tux, and the flowers, and the shoes, and the bridesmaids' dresses, and the jewelry, and the custom cufflinks, and the rings, and the hand-painted aisle runner, and the floor decal, and the table settings, and the ice sculpture, and the candy bar, and the cigar bar, and the bar, and the food, and the transportation, and the videographer and photographers, and the amazing musicians, and the pastor, and the MC and the DJ, and Shay and his amazing photo lounge that gave us photos like this, and like this, and like this. Overall, it was an unreal experience that left everybody feeling like this. And if you thought that's where the dream ended, you'd be wrong. We still had a honeymoon to go on. Here's some of my favorite images from our California road trip.
Don't let your mind get weary and confused. Your will be still, don't try. Don't let your heart get heavy, child, inside you. There's a strength that lies.
And after spending an amazing July 4th at the nearby Meridian Vineyard, Megan and I wrapped up our Highway 1 part of our honeymoon and headed further south to the big city of San Diego, where courtesy of Christina we got to stay in a penthouse suite at the Hard Rock Hotel in the heart of the Gaslamp District and do what Megan loves best, see the animals. We saw a cute little bear get tangled up in a tree. We saw some scary looking sharks swim right above our heads. I saw a walrus the size of a Dachshund, and we both saw sea lions dance, and we saw a killer whale jump out of the water and break dance. We saw some pretty amazing things, and we did it up close too. We fed the lorikeets in the birdcage. We fed some deer in the petting zoo. We even fed some fish to some sea lions. All in all, it was an amazing trip.
What are we doing?
Feeding animals.
Specifically?
And then later you're going to feed this manimal.
And later, after us animals were fed, we headed back on the trip home to Los Angeles. Not quite ready to give up the bliss we'd been experiencing for the past few weeks. And on the drive, I had that word stuck in my head again. Family. I thought about something my dad had said. He said, "You know, Peter, you and Megan are a family now." And I thought, yeah, but that wouldn't have become possible without family. And I don't just mean my relatives, or my new relatives, or friends of family that worked so hard and supported so much to help us win, but also the new family we made along the way, who gave of their time and their gifts and their service so that we could have the experience of a lifetime. And even though we may never be able to repay it, I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart and Megan's, we thank you. We thank you so much. It was an experience we will never forget, and it truly was a dream wedding.